You made me spill my water.
Welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, am one of your hosts, the giggling decon. The decon. Here with a very, very mysterious.
SOS, and here with the dark and lovely. Fire.
So,
And no
no,
government spy.
and no, there's never.
He's off on a mission right now.
He's on a mission.
Does my
Need to know.
does my shushing is my audio? Am I on mute?
Huh?
All right, you know what? Then I guess I'll be a no-show too. Goodbye. I was gonna say, like, my shushing means, like, hey, there's never been a birdie on this show ever.
Nope,
So,
never.
So there's no one missing. The whole gang is here. All right, so
Wow.
this is I was told this was a very exciting episode. So with a very exciting topic. So what do you got for us today?
Well, so just the warning on this video. This one is a murder podcast.
Oh.
So yeah, if you don't want murder in your life, then don't listen.
Yeah, I don't want to listen. I'll take it easy. Take it easy, guys. Have a good night. Remember to look both ways.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, so yeah, that's the disclaimer. It's a disturbing topic, so if you guys are sensitive to that kind of stuff, just don't. Why don't you go watch Peppa Pig and give your kids Peppa syndrome? So
there you go.
Do you guys ever hear of that Peppa syndrome?
No. What is that?
Okay, so there's a couple of different things. So I guess Peppa syndrome is when you have kids, watch Peppa Pig, and then, like, after
I don't
a while,
even know what Peppa Pig is.
It's some cartoon with a pig. So
okay,
and it's like a cartoon. It's British. So Peppa Pig. Anyways, so kids will develop like a British accent, and also this character, whenever it says something after it's done talking, it'll go going like oink after every sentence. So I guess kids like that are watching this show will develop, like, after they talk or they say something, they'll just oink at the end of it. So they call it Peppa syndrome. So there you go.
Oh.
But anyways, go watch that.
The more you know.
The more you know.
The more you know. Okay, so
I'm old.
Yeah, well, I have never heard of it. So, and I'm older than you. So here we go. We are talking about Idaho's longest death row inmate.
Oh, jeez.
And all of his criminal activity. So you ready for this?
Yeah. Wait. Okay, now I'm ready. Go ahead. I had to forget everything of the day, so I etch a sketch. Okay, go ahead.
So you guys will probably know his name when I say it. Thomas Eugene Creech. Remember?
Yes.
No?
This is all new for me.
Okay. Well, you might have heard it in the news just recently, but we'll get to that at the end. So he was born September 9th, 1950 in Hamilton, Ohio. Kind of a dysfunctional family, but nothing too bad initially, right? So his parents were kind of bickered all the time. They fought, but it didn't sound like it ever got physical, and it didn't sound like he was abused. They eventually divorced, which was probably the best thing that could have happened instead of living in that environment. He went to live with his father. Now, there's some question about this. So his father later died right in front of him from unknown causes. Remember that. Okay? Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know how I want to die? I want to lay there, and I want somebody to hold me, and I'll just tell them, avenge me. And then I die, and then that's how I want to go.
So, there was a nurse that was taking care of his father, and he tried to murder his nurse. So, Creech did. So, he actually was never charged for it. It was attempted murder, but I couldn't find that he was ever charged for it. So he attacks this poor nurse, and then he starts traveling the country. And it's 1967 at this point, so he is 17 years old. And he claimed that later that he drowned at 17 a friend of his who had killed Creech's girlfriend in a traffic accident. So I guess the two of them were in a vehicle, gets in a car wreck, the gal dies, and so Creech kills this guy by drowning him.
Wait.
Okay.
So did it specify like did he take him to a body of water? Did he say, "Hey, let's go jump in the pool"? This
will come in later. That there's some confessions that come out later, and this is one of them. Okay.
Okay.
But the body was never found. This is
getting sexy.
This was. Who knows? But the guy is never found. I mean, he's gone, so makes sense. He's dead. So, and then he moved in 1969, he moved to San Francisco and claimed that he was hit on by a guy, and so he killed him. So now there's two that he's two. Dad's dead, but okay, so
if I was killed every time I hit on a guy, I'm kidding.
Haha. So soon after, in 1969, he was sentenced to a 2 to 50-year prison term for unarmed robbery, which was weird to me. Unarmed robbery.
I imagine him like walking in there, pointing his fingers like a finger gun.
Right, like
put the money in this imaginary bag, and he hands him nothing.
Yeah. So I don't get that. Anyway, he did just over 2 years on that stretch for the robbery, and then he was paroled in 1971. In 1973, he married a lady named Thomasine Lorene White of Boise. So he's all over the country now. He makes it into Idaho, and she allegedly, and when I say allegedly, because she dies before this comes out, and so we don't know if there's truth in this. That she is also a participant in at least one of the murders that he commits, and it was the murder of a guy named Paul Schrader.
Sorry.
And
I was just thinking, I'm like, man, women are so easy to convince to help you with a murder.
Oh yeah.
They're like couples who
Right.
live together, stay together.
That's right.
So they're in Tucson, and the Tucson Daily Citizen paper reported on January 4th, 1974, Paul Schrader was stabbed to death in a downtown motor hotel in Tucson, Arizona. Creech was arrested for the murder in Beaver, Utah, and taken back to Arizona to face charges. But after hours of deliberation, he was acquitted.
Of course.
So, but Thomasine was never brought in on the charges. Maybe they didn't know she was present at the time. Yeah. So anyway, it's believed that she was involved later when things go down later in his life. In 1974, he and his wife moved to Portland, Oregon, and Thomasine, poor gal, was eventually moved into a psychiatric hospital in Salem, Oregon. So she had problems already.
Yeah.
And then she hooks up with this dude.
Yeah. Especially, I don't know if she was there when he murdered this person.
Huh? What, Hayward?
I said men just make everything worse.
Well,
see, this is. Am I on the right show? What the hell is this? Is this The View?
He probably preyed on her because he was a violent and controlling guy. Yeah. And so he finds somebody who's got mental issues, and he preyed upon that.
No, if that was the case, then why was he acquitted then, huh? He was acquitted like one of those teachers, the female teachers that like hit on a student and then get down and just let him go. Like, you know what? Just let him go. You know why?
You know why? Because male students don't mind it.
But what? Well, that's the thing. It's like,
that's the thing.
Where's which boy? Tell me where he is so we can give him his luckiest boy in America.
Right? So the luckiest boy in America badge for the Boy Scout.
Yeah, the Boy Scout. And then he's like, what a snitch.
So anyway, let's get back to the creech here. So she eventually commits suicide in the psychiatric hospital.
Does she work for the Clintons?
Yeah. In a letter Creech sent to, he writes this letter to KIVI, which might be in Portland, I don't know, TV, decades after the fact, and he claimed that his wife had been sexually assaulted by a gang of men and thrown out of a window at the psychiatric hospital, causing her debilitating and physical and mental injuries that were the primary contributors to her decision to end her life. Now, I'm assuming he meant in the psychiatric hospital all this went down. Don't know. Thomas then was admitted to the same psychiatric hospital for a mental evaluation. But then he was released after a week. He's fine. Nothing wrong with this guy.
Yeah. Nothing to see here, folks.
So he found a job, believe this, as a sexton for the St. Mark's Episcopal Church.
Yes.
So he's in charge of taking care of the cemetery, right? So he later quit his job after the body of a man was found in his living quarters, but never brought up on any charges whatsoever. So there's just a dead guy in his living quarters, and he takes off, no suspicion there.
Ah, man.
This guy.
Yeah.
This guy. So shortly after...
What was he?
Did they ever say
it
was murdered or like? Okay, interesting.
Well,
it's bizarre.
I like to think that they found him like sitting on the couch with a corpse and like pretending to watch TV with it, you know. And he's just like, "Hey, hey, Ernie, you're not touching your dinner. What's going on?"
This one didn't get buried.
Yeah.
So he there's this dead guy in his living quarters. He takes off. And now he has a 17-year-old girlfriend.
Oh.
Now he's like what, in his 30s?
What is he, a rock star?
I don't know. Well, they moved to Idaho.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so this is wait a minute. So this is now November 6, 1974. He was born in 1950. So not too bad, 24. He's 24, she's 17. Still, you know, but
that's still weird. If you have to pick up,
that's weird.
You have to go pick up your date from school. Something's wrong.
I know. Like, I don't think this is in school.
What happened? Oh, she's in detention, so I have to wait. And we were late for a Chili's reservation. Teacher's such a dick.
So they're hitchhiking in Idaho from Lewiston to Donnelly. Do you guys know where Donnelly is? Idaho?
We don't.
I know where Lewiston is, Donnelly. Anyway, they're a 1956 Buick Century who these two house painters are driving, you know, like, I don't know if they're off work that day or after work that day, but they decide to give Creech and Spalding, which is the girlfriend, a ride. And so the house painters are named Edward Thomas Arnold and John Wayne Bradford.
I was going to say Gacy. I was going to say, oh no.
Along the way, Creech pulls out a rifle and shot both of them in the head, and then buried their bodies along Highway 55 in Valley County near Donnelly. Oh, it's north of Cascade.
What if they hit on him?
What if they hit on her?
No, I said I wonder if they hit on him. Remember, he killed for hitting on him.
Their bodies and their blood-spattered car were found the very next day. Okay? In the meantime, Creech had befriended this guy, and I remember reading something about this a while ago. This 26-year-old named Gene Alvin Hilby. And I think Hilby gives them a ride, finds them later and gives them a ride. And for some reason, they didn't kill him. And so they become kind of like a weird, like, misfit friend group. And Creech convinced Hilby to bury the rifle. Go out and bury the rifle. And Hilby had never known that the rifle was used in a murder. He just did as he was told. Like, right, like, I'm going to do that if somebody said that to me. I'm not going to take the rifle to the police.
Yeah, if somebody told me to bury a rifle, I'd be like, yeah, I buried it, and it'll be in my car.
Yeah. So 2 days after those murders of the house painters, Creech was a suspect in 2 additional murders in Oregon. And supposedly he was sending death threats to the newly elected Colorado Senator Gary Hart.
That's such an Idaho thing to do.
There's some question as to whether or not those death threats really happened, and that maybe one of the cops was just pissed at him later on and made that up. Who knows? I don't know.
I'm going to write some death threats to some congressmen.
He was later cleared of the supposed involvement in the death threats because of this question about this police officer maybe making that part up. But anyway, he was, let's see, he was considered a fugitive at this point because they had suspected him in these Oregon deaths. They didn't know exactly where he was. He wasn't necessarily on the run, but he was on the run. I mean, he just committed 2 more murders. He gets caught, and he gets caught in Idaho, and he's held at the Valley County Jail in Cascade. I thought Cascade was Washington, but maybe not. Maybe we have a Cascade in Idaho. I haven't looked.
We have a Virginia in Idaho, and also
Well, it does say he was transferred 90 miles south to the more secure Ada County Jail in Boise. So it must be Cascade. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, 90 miles south, to Ada County. So a week after his arrest, he attempts to commit suicide by slashing his wrists with broken pieces of mirrors. But he managed only a minor injury before he was caught. He was then moved to another cell. And Hilby, the man who buried the rifle,
we should give him a nickname.
Had originally also been... Huh?
We should give him a nickname. We should call him, like, Old Dumbass. Like, hey, Old Dumbass, right. Go bury that rifle. All right.
Well, what's interesting is that there's some gaps here in some of this information because Hilby was soon arrested. So they've arrested him for the alleged murder or the murders in Oregon. But then they also now have arrested Hilby. So they've already tied him, I guess, to the house painter's murders in Idaho. And then somehow he's ratted out Hilby, or somebody said something about Hilby.
The what murders?
The house painter murders.
Okay, sorry, you kind of like cut out for. I could have sworn you said the house beaners. I'm like, wait a minute. Like this episode's starting awesome.
So, and I'm betting that Spalding, the girlfriend, ratted out Hilby to try to take some of the. I'm betting that's what happened.
Stupid women.
She's now charged as an adult. She's 18 years old now, so she's charged as an adult. Okay, so and Hilby's charged. So all 3 of them are now charged with murders. Okay, and even after Creech was arrested, he's just a violent man. He's always been a violent man. He attacks his cellmate, William Fisher, in an altercation. Fisher had to be driven to the hospital to treat his facial injuries. And then there was a gag order placed on the case. So nobody could talk about anything. A month later, Creech attempted to sue the Idaho Statesman newspaper for supposedly violating his right to a fair trial by publishing information on other crimes he was either convicted or suspected of. And it possibly prejudices the public against him.
Yes, that is, yeah.
The lawsuit went nowhere, by the way. Not in Idaho.
That's unconstitutional. Yeah, stupid. Probably because they couldn't read and they don't even know the Constitution.
So, in August, shortly after he requests a change of venue from Cascade to Wallace, it's accepted. So now his trial is sent to Wallace. He's sent to the hospital for stitches after suffering injuries from falling out of his bunk bed in his cell and hitting his head. Just let him bleed out.
Hey.
Well, in October, it was ruled that an alleged confession that he gave, let's see, in which Creech, who initially claimed was not near the murder site, says that he had shot and killed the 2 men after they pulled a knife on him and threatened to rape Spalding. Okay? And he said that I guess the judge ruled that it could be used as evidence. Creech was saying that it was an inadmissible confession. The judge said it's going into the trial. Okay, it is. You made the statement. We're accepting it.
I believe him. I would have.
Who, Creech?
I would have said somewhere else. I wouldn't say that he tried to rape Spalding. I'd be like, they try to abuse me. I seen the way they were looking at me. One of them whistled.
They were looking at me with a hungry look.
Yeah.
Just telling you.
You know, I called that one old hungry eyes.
They were hankering for me. Okay. After his taking the stand at his trial in October 1975, he shocked the entire nation when he readily admitted his responsibility in 42 murders in nearly a dozen states. So, in his confession, he claimed he killed the man in San Francisco and then 5 people in Ohio in contract murders while he was in the Hells Angels. He was in the Hells Angels.
Mm-hmm.
Later, he began killing people in satanic rituals involving human sacrifices.
Wow.
Okay. In total, he claimed to know of such killings that occurred in Washington, San Diego, San Francisco, Malibu, Beaver, Utah, Ogden, Salt Lake City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Missoula, Montana, Wichita, Kansas, and another city in Colorado. And he also directed authorities into the locations of 2 burials down in LA County burials in LA County where he claimed that they could locate up to 100 victims, but the only searches they turned up was a cow bone. So now everybody's like, he's full of shit.
Yeah, I think he tried to take credit also for you remember the High Five murders in Ogden? That video, that record store where the people were forced to drink the Drano. And
no.
Yeah, it was like a really famous, there's even a rock band out there called the High Five Murders. That might be an episode we have to do, but he like tried to take credit for that. Like, I was there. And they're like, really? I thought you were here at that time.
So in his all of these confessions, and then he's reciting these satanic rites.
Yeah.
But the satanic rites had been just published in Playboy, and they think that's where he got it.
Well, okay. Here's what I'm gonna say. Obviously, this man was actually reading the Playboy just for the articles.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he was. Okay.
He could be the only one. Because people feel like article. There's articles in Playboy.
So they ended up linking him though to the 2. Let's see, Gordon Lee Stanton and Charles Thomas Miller in Las Vegas, Nevada. So those 2. The 22-year-old William Joseph Dean, whose body was found in his living quarters when he was a sexton for the church. A 19-year-old Salem store clerk named Sandra Jane Rosamuk, who was killed not long after the 2 in Nevada. They linked him to Ryogley Stewart McKenzie in Baggs, Wyoming, and 50-year-old Vivian Grant Robinson in Sacramento, California. And this Paul Schrader, of course, but he was not found guilty for that one.
You just gave us the horns of the sign of the devil. You just gave us the right now. You didn't see it. You went like this. So people that are conspiracy theories and are watching this show, you're gonna watch this and you'll be like, I did do that. You just did this. So people that are watching this show will be like, look, they're trying to give us subliminal. Don't look at me.
Jeez.
Don't look at me like that. Like hey, Haywire, stop it. It's a demonic show.
Whatever.
I refuse to be part of it.
So remember Paul Schrader? He was killed in that downtown motor hotel in Tucson, Arizona in 1973. So Creech at the time was working as a cook in the El Bambi Cafe.
Ooh.
in Beaver, Utah. So I guess that, and he was arrested for disorderly conduct and identified as the suspect after a routine police check revealed he was wanted for Schrader's murder. Creech and Thomasine White were charged with the murder. So at this point she's charged, but she goes into the asylum. So maybe was that like her way out of getting out of murder, is like to go into an asylum? I don't know.
Yeah.
But so here it says the pair were both acquitted. So she had to face charges. They were acquitted, but it was only hours of deliberation. So, but he did end up copping to the murder, but they can't catch him on it now because you can't be charged twice in this country. So
it falls under, what is it, double jeopardy or some shit?
Double jeopardy. Yeah.
That's
so he
why
has
I've never
5
charged.
murder. Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
What did you say?
I'll tell you later. Just.
Oh. So he has 5 murder convictions in total, and and then so now he's on. He puts in a clemency plea in 2024. We're going to get to that. So right before this clemency hearing, though, that happens here in Idaho, he's found to be the perpetrator behind the unsolved murder of Daniel Walker in San Bernardino, California in 1974. So they're starting to link him. And I bet now they're starting to link him by DNA because they have DNA in evidence rooms and and they're like, hey, let's run it and see what kind of hits we get. And now, they've got his DNA, so they're starting to, right? So now we get to, he's in Idaho, he's in prison, and now he's an innocent man. Now he's made all of these confessions, he's got all these convictions, but now he's an innocent man. And the jury's, he gets caught for the Arnold Bradford murders, which are 2 more murders, right? And so the jury took a few days to deliberate on that, and they returned a guilty verdict in this case. And it's really interesting. He is then sentenced to hanging death for those 2 murders here, okay? But obviously he's not been hanged because he's still on death row. So originally his execution is set for May 21st.
Should we go?
Let's see.
Should we try to go watch it?
Well, hold on now. His execution was stayed pending appeals, right? So I don't know exactly. This was in 1970 something. He was there's all these appeals that are going in now. And so he now, because of all of these appeals, and he decides he wants to get out of Idaho, he willingly offers to stand trial for some of his killings in Oregon and California, because he's thinking now if they move him, they're not going to kill him here. He's, so we'll just get moved. So then they move him to, he's offered, but they haven't moved him. The only place they moved him to was to Kuna, however you say that, by Meridian, down in Ada County. So he didn't make it far. He's still in Idaho. He worked as a janitor in the prison there, despite being an incredibly violent man. They have him as a janitor, and the prosecutors warn the wardens, he needs to be in this cell. Don't let this man in gin pop at all because he's so violent.
Aren't most janitors like very violent people? That's why whenever I meet somebody that's a janitor, I don't even look at them in the eye. I just kind of it's like, hey, how you doing? I just walk by.
I don't know. I know some nice janitors.
I don't.
Now, school janitors, they're a little dicey.
Yeah, I'm telling you. The janitor with the limp. The janitor with the one eye.
One eye. So, May 13th, 1981, he attacks and kills another prisoner named David Dale Jensen. He was a car thief and apparently previously in jail, those two had an altercation. So what does Creech do? He gets a sock stuffed with batteries and beat this guy to death.
Yeah, the old sock and battery.
Yeah. So now he's charged again with first-degree murder. And he changed his plea to guilty, and he was again sentenced to death. Okay? The sentencing judge acknowledged that Creech did not instigate the fight with the victim, but the victim, without provocation, attacked him. However, even though Creech was initially protecting himself, when he could have stopped, he didn't. Like when the guy was incapacitated, he didn't stop. And he just kept beating him to death. Okay. So it ultimately appears to have been an intentional, calculated act. I'm like, no shit, but whatever.
Hey,
The victim, once the attack commenced, was under complete domination and control of the defendant, concluding that the murder and the violent actions Creech took went well beyond self-defense. Yeah. So he should have stopped, because then it was self-defense. But he didn't stop. He can't stop. That's not who he is, right?
I was gonna say you can't stop, won't stop. What
Won't stop.
What rap group is that? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
He did ask the victim's father for forgiveness. Hope the guy never forgave him. And stated his wish to be executed, as he did not want to die in solitary confinement. However, even though he asked for forgiveness and all this shit, he now is appealing a sentence for Jensen's murder.
Oh.
And he's been appealing it for 40 years. This guy's...
Oh.
Anyway. Okay, current status, right? So he's on death row.
Let's visit.
Since his second death sentence, Creech has been on death row, now housed at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, where he is also the longest serving inmate. Okay? One of the prosecutors at his original trial said in an interview that he wished Creech to be taken off death row now, as he considered that his case has cost the taxpayers too much for an execution that may never happen. Well, no shit, he's been there over 40 years.
Yeah.
Right? So here's the deal. He asks on October 12th, 2023, and this is where you guys may have heard about this. So they signed his death warrant, and his execution date was supposed to be November 8th, 2023. On October 18th, the Idaho Commission of Pardons and Parole announced they would delay his execution after they granted a request from Creech for a commutation hearing, making Creech the third death row prisoner in Idaho's legal history to be given a clemency hearing. Okay, but Governor Brad Little said, nope, no clemency.
Probably wrote him a death note.
Huh?
Probably wrote him like a threatening letter.
Yeah, right.
Jeez, I'm
so
going to.
His death warrant was signed, and the execution was supposed to take place this last February 28th, 2024. So he again filed two appeals. One called for another clemency review, and he wanted a let's see. It didn't. Okay, the Idaho Supreme Court dismissed his pleas, and his execution was set to occur on that February 28th. This just passed, just a couple months ago. So the Idaho governor also declared publicly he had no intention to spare Creech from the punishment due to the magnitude of his crimes. And I do remember the governor making these statements and reading all this in the newspaper. So the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which, never mind. There's a talk show host that I listen to, and he has a different name for it. But
wait, is it Alex Jones? Let me tell you one thing: there's black helicopters. I have the documents, and Obama. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. They also rejected Creech's appeal on February 23rd. So 28th is supposed to go forward. They tried 8 times to inject this guy and give him a lethal dose, and they couldn't get a vein.
What?
No execution happened. So this guy's probably knows enough to know that if he didn't drink any water, his veins would go flat.
Yep, they shrink.
And they're not going to get a vein because he's so dehydrated. So I'm like, get a really good nurse in there to give him an IV to pump up those veins, and then just, you know what I mean?
Well, if you
push it through.
Well, if you can't get a vein, I think it's written in law which veins it has to be, because you can very easily access a vein like on the head, on somebody's head, or on the feet. If you can't get if the veins are too small, that's what.
Now I have heard.
That's what
I have heard since this botched execution that Idaho is considering going back to the firing squad.
Just like Utah.
Mm-hmm.
How does it work in Utah? Okay, so it's got the 5 guys. They all aim their rifles at you, and one of them's got a blank, just so that everybody's conscience is at ease. So like you could be the one that shot him with a blank. I'd be like, can I get the loaded gun, please? Actually,
and so wouldn't it be like 4 guys with the blank and one guy with a bullet?
No, it's that's what people think. But it's 4 guys with bullets, 1 guy with the blank. No one knows who is who. That way your mind is at ease. And I would just like walk over there and like beat him to death with the rifle butt. Just like hit him. It's like, oh,
how about a sock with batteries in
it? Well, we could do that too, but
I mean,
you got to, come on, you got to use your state issue.
This guy's a monster.
You know what? Let's go visit him. We can go visit him. I'll tell him, like, hey, brother, I was rooting for you throughout the whole show, and these women were ridiculing me, and they talk shit on men, but I was rooting for you, man. I wasn't going anywhere with that. I was just joking.
Wow.
This guy is as my dad would say, he's a boil on the ass of humanity.
Oh, that's a good. Man, but that is insane. I mean, it just shows how broken the justice system is.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
That's a clear example.
Well, so getting back to his father, they really do believe that he killed his father, and that maybe the nurse walked in on it, and that's why he attacked the nurse that was taking care of his dad. So they do believe that he probably did that, but there isn't enough proof to go after him for it. And at this point, he's convicted of so many murders.
Yeah.
Does it? You know what I mean?
He tried to take one for all the homies too.
Say again, Hayward?
I said he was trying to take one for all the homies too, like trying to rack up on how many murders he could get.
Yeah, he was trying to. Yeah, that hell yeah, that boy ain't no snitch, eh? He's down for the homies, ese. You know what that fool did? Yeah. You know what that fool did? I killed this one dude behind the alley, eh? And this dude was like, yeah, bro, I killed him with a sock and a Duracell, eh? I tried to use an Energizer. Remember the bunny? It keeps going and going. But that fool was like, nah, fool, they didn't have any Energizer. They only had Duracell. I don't know why I did that voice. Oh, because you said homie.
I have no idea why you were doing that voice.
I don't know. Maybe I should just speak like that the whole time. It's like, hey, what's up, eh? Welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road, eh? I'm your main homie, Deacon. Like, hey, remember that time with the quinceañera? Where that thing and the, and here with the very mysterious vernacularities. I'm using words there that I don't even know what they mean, but I'm just gonna throw them out there.
Right? I'm gonna say like, holy crap, I've forgotten all of my cuss words in Spanish.
Ese es, Oh, it's SOS. Okay, never mind. Thought it was ese. Anyway.
You are in there.
There's something wrong with me.
Okay, while we're on the show and we're wrapping up the show, I'm going to let everybody know that's listening that we're doing another paranormal class at ISU College of Technology. So it's like the adult education extension. And the classes were supposed to start tomorrow, but we've delayed them a few weeks to allow more people to sign up. The College of Technology summer classes don't get a mailer, so everybody has to sign up online. So it's like people didn't know to sign up. So we are going to be having those classes again. It'll be a 6-week set of classes with 1 investigation, probably 2, in outdoor settings. We have some outdoor stuff planned. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll be there too. No, I won't be. But
So there are paranormal classes teaching you all about the paranormal, how to use investigation equipment,
oh, I
and
should
how to
go.
conduct an
Can I join the
investigation. You
Can
should.
I join the class?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Can I be like, teacher? I don't know how to use this dowsing rod. I keep getting it in my eye.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. All right. So, what an exciting
So,
episode. This was.
yeah, they can sign up at the College of Tech at ISU
Uh,
for the paranormal class.
oh, nice.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, I might be there. You guys could sit next to me, and guess what? I might cheat, and I might look at your paper, and it's gonna.
I think it was a lot of fun. The last class was a whole lot of fun. The students had a great deal of fun. We had as a team, as a paranormal team, we all came in and everybody was involved in the class and teaching the class, and so it's not just me; it's everybody on the team, and we just love it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's. Don't worry, guys. I won't cheat off your paper. I can't read, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining us at another exciting episode of Nightmare Road. This was really, this was crazy. Like, now I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, what else did he do? But anyways, that's not the point. So thank you for joining us, guys. I was one of your hosts, Decon, of course, with this fantastic team. And also remember, guys, to like and subscribe. Pretty soon we'll get the Patreon going. If you know somebody on death row, send them this episode. Just like, hey, man, just check out this episode. This fool's down, eh? This fool's down. He's gonna, he makes tacos and all that kind of shit. I'm just kidding. I don't make tacos. Anyways, maybe I should make like tamales or pupusas on the show one day. Anyway, just record it, just like me cooking.
See, it'd go over well.
Yeah,
it would.
I'd be like, welcome to Hijueputa Kitchen. I am your host. Okay, I'm trying to throw some ideas out here.
I think it'd be good.
Oh yeah, thanks. Okay, your voice went really.
No, I think it would be good.
Your voice went really high with that. That's what you say, like when your kid looks really stupid and he's wearing overalls, and you're like, oh, overalls look good. You should go out and you should go out in public like that, and yeah, you could be president. And geez, now I'm sounding like who was that guy that used to make those old movies? Don Knotts, whatever. Remember?
Don Knotts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody, oh no, I'm stuck in the zoo.
The Ghost of Mr. Chicken was one of my favorite movies of all time.
This is a terrible idea for a vacation. So the paranormal class. Anyways, see, I went from Don Knotts to like Jerry Seinfeld. Like, hey, what is going on? Hey, Kramer, my dowsing rods keep getting in Decon's eyes. What are we gonna do? Hey, Jerry, I don't think you should be. Anyways. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Whatever. So share this episode, like and subscribe, do all those things. And remember, guys, to always look both ways, especially if you find yourselves on Nightmare Road.
Bye.
I did the phone.